I want to preface by saying a few things before I get into Hoop Dreams. First thing I want to say, I don't watch basketball. I think the last basketball game I watched was Game 1 of the 2001 NBA Finals when the Sixers handed the Lakers their only loss that postseason. I remember watching that game when I was 11 years old. I think that's the last game I watched in full. Another thing I want to say is I did not plan that I would watch this one like in the heart of March Madness. I think they're down to, I don't know, I don't follow it. I think they're down to the Final Four. I only know that Villanova is still around because my dad said something. I think. I could be completely wrong. So just a happy coincidence that today's basketball movie, this just like Batman over the weekend, this one has been sitting in my Netflix queue for a long time, like since 2013, if not earlier, and I never got around to watching it until tonight. And part of that is because I'm, like I said, not interested in basketball. I have my own sports that I follow, and not just, I follow almost every sport except for basketball, which is sad. But this movie's not about basketball. It's called Hoop Dreams, and it's about two high school students who play basketball. And that's, the heart of the story is that they're basketball players. But that's not the focal point. The focal point isn't the basketball. The focal point is what the basketball is doing for their lives. The beginning of the film, you have William Gates and Arthur Agee, two 13, 14-year-old kids in the inner city of Chicago who get recruited by this just independent guy who recruits kids at playgrounds over the weekend for a school in the suburbs. And they both get scholarships to this school, and they go to play basketball and learn like you do at school. But unfortunately, Arthur, in his sophomore year, gets kicked out because of some tuition problems, and his grades in basketball aren't quite up to snuff. So he leaves and he goes to his local city high school, Marshall, and William stays and he becomes like a star player on their team. And it's just really, really interesting that one moment, like the grades aren't good enough and the money's not there, just changed their lives. Arthur goes home, his mom's on welfare, his dad's on drugs, they're separated, he's getting mugged, his friends are getting shot at, but he plays basketball with heart because he's not under the pressure of that school, and he takes his team all the way to the state finals, not the finals, but the semifinals of state. They finished third in the state of Illinois. Whereas as William has all these benefits, he's got this great education and all that, but he's playing under so much pressure, he ends up blowing out his knee, and they lose in the second round his senior year of the playoffs, even though they made it further every year prior. And still, William goes to Marquette University. He works his tail off in the ACT to get there, and he has I believe a full ride, paid through even if he doesn't play basketball for 4 years at Marquette, like a Division I school. And Arthur, who's like head of his team, they went to the state finals. He ends up at like Southern Illinois Junior College. Did I say Southern Illinois? I did. Southern Missouri, like some junior college, like in Mineral Town or something, and eventually works his way up to Arkansas. We don't see that in the film. That's all in the credits, little like, what happened after thing. And I listened to a podcast this morning from Cracked.com about class in the United States, and it was very coincidental that I watched this tonight because it's about race, yes, but I'm also that podcast is sitting in my head too, so it's talking about class as well, and that because William gets to go to a more upper class school, he has access to like the Chicago Bulls doctors, and when his knee goes, like the school's insurance pays for everything, whereas Arthur's family, they're cutting the power, and was that William's family? That may have actually been William's family. It was a long movie, pushing 3 hours, but like Arthur's family, like his dad is leaving and coming back and on drugs, and his mom is getting laid off because of chronic back pain, and all this other stuff is happening to him, and he doesn't have like the same advantages, even though they came from like the same part of town, and it's just one step up in the class structure and just reaps all these benefits. And it's just that's the view I watched this with today because of that podcast, which I highly recommend if you haven't listened to a Cracked podcast. They're very informative, a little too like, let's solve the world's problems. We're white guys at times, but still I very much enjoy them. Like I said, very informative. And yeah, so I was watching this film through that window today. But I mean, it's everyone in this is so human, and it is a documentary, it's not a fiction, which definitely adds to that, but it's just shot so simply. Like, there's no fluff, there's no like special stuff. It's clearly shot like on a handheld video camera. Like, the picture quality gets better as the film progresses, but there's like weird interlacing and stuff, and it looks like what it was, which is a PBS documentary from 1987 or 88. It was meant to be just a half-hour documentary, but they extended it to this 2-3 hour like epic story. And you see like the film quality progress, but it's just so simple, and because of that, you feel everything that Arthur and William feel when they have hardships. They're your hardships, and when good things happen to them and to their families, you feel almost a sense of pride as the audience for what has happened to them, and it's just brutally truthful. I feel like there was nothing hidden. There was no agenda, no, like with a lot of documentaries now, they're trying to push an agenda. There was none of that. It was just, this is a story that we just happen to be rolling as it's happening. Like I said, it's supposed to be just a half-hour bit about how these prep schools are recruiting kids from the inner city to play basketball, and it became, like, the camera stayed on these kids for 5 years because their story was so intriguing. And it's almost a miracle that somebody happened to be there with the camera for these two kids. And their families, because there's a lot about the families, like I said before, with Arthur's father, who's trying to kind of live through Arthur, and the same is going on with William's older brother, who was also this great high school basketball player, but he just couldn't handle college ball. And it's just so real, and so just feelings all over the place, just beautiful. What I did find really intriguing, I think this is the last point I'm going to make, I feel like I've talked too long already, but these two are going through, and once Arthur leaves the school, leaves St. Joseph's, they don't see each other. The two boys don't see each other until their senior year. The recruiter that originally recruited them takes Arthur to what turns out to be William's last game, as they lose in the playoffs, and at the end, William's noticeably upset. They shouldn't have lost that game, and they just share this huge hug, and you can tell like they knew each other as kids, and they were friends as kids, and it just means a lot to William that Arthur is there, and vice versa. When Arthur wins the city, they beat the last year's national champions, and then like their rivals, and they win like the citywide championship, and he calls William, he's like, I told you I would, and it's just like, just awesome that they share this bond, even though they went separate paths their sophomore years. They have that same story, that same dream, and they share it with each other, and it's just really special, really, really special movie. Highly, highly recommend it. I really do. And that's coming from somebody who doesn't like basketball. I was getting invested in games that happened 25 years ago because just I cared so much about the individuals on the court, and it is just fantastic. Loved it. Great movie. Tomorrow I am looking at a film called Ikiru. Akira Kurosawa's classic film about... I don't know, but I will find out tomorrow. Like, share, subscribe. Come join me on my NXT TakeOver Dallas and WrestleMania streams Friday and Sunday respectively, and I will see you tomorrow.